introduce Reverend Dr. Richard Speck. He became a Unitarian Universalist as a layperson in Springfield, Illinois, pardon me, in 1974. He was an active lay member of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Birmingham, Alabama, before going into the ministry. For 18 years, he had been a respiratory therapist. The last 10 years before the seminary were spent as the director of a respiratory care department in a large hospital, where he supervised over 30 people. He is a graduate of the Meadville Lombard Theological School. He then served 9 years as a minister to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Vero Beach, Florida. Next, he accepted the position as the district executive for the Joseph Priestley District of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations. He served 14 years before retiring from the full-time ministry in 2014. He was named Minister Emeritus in 2019. He continues to be active in social justice programs like Black Lives Matters and the Coalition to Dismantle the New Jim Crow in Delaware. He conducts weddings, memorial services, and funerals, and continues preaching in area congregations. He's married to Janet Tillman and resides in Wilmington, Delaware. He enjoys making music, flying his own airplane, and creating stained glass art. Janet and Richard have 2 cats. And Reverend Speck is going to perform a reading before the sermon.
Welcome, good morning. Good to be back with you in Galveston. And the reading that I have is by Mark Morrison Reed, Let Me Die Laughing. We are all dying, our lives always moving toward completion. We need to learn to live with death and to understand that death is not the worst of all events. We need not to fear we need to fear not death, but life, empty lives, loveless lives, lives that do not build upon the gifts that each of us has been given, lives that are like living deaths, lives which we never take the time to savor and appreciate, lives in which we never pause to breathe deeply. What we need to fear is not death, but squandering our lives that we have been miraculously given. So let me die laughing, savoring one of life's crazy moments. Let me die holding the hand of one I love and recalling that I tried to love and was loved in return. Let me die remembering that life has been good and that I did what I could. But today, just remind me that I am dying so that I can live, savor, and love with all my heart. Well, thank you for inviting me back. And you gave me a theme. So I was fascinated by this theme for this month. Wholehearted living sounded like something I should know how to do. I'm a minister and I'm expected to have mastered this thing called living, right? I'm also past 70, so I should have gained some wisdom about living right now, shouldn't I? Well, I set out to learn more about what was meant by this phrase, wholehearted living. As I did research, I kept running across the same name in various places on the internet. I discovered Dr. Brene Brown, who has a lot to say about what it means to live wholeheartedly. Dr. Brene Brown is a research professor at the University of Houston, about an hour away from you, where she holds the Huffington Endowed Chair. She has spent the past 16 years studying courage and vulnerability and empathy and shame. She is the author of 4 books: The Gifts of Imperfection, Daring Greatly, Rising Strong, and Braving the Wilderness. Dr. Brown writes that wholehearted living is about living your life from a place of worthiness. To live wholeheartedly, You need to foster courage, compassion, and connection so that you can go about your days satisfied that no matter what you've accomplished, no matter what you've left incomplete, you are enough. Also, you will discover your place of worthiness when you readily accept you're imperfect, you're vulnerable, and occasionally fearful, while at the same time, you feel worthy of love and belonging. Dr. Brown defines wholehearted living as living is engaging in our lives from a place of worthiness, means the courage, compassion, and connection to wake up in the morning and think, no matter what gets done and how much is undone, I am enough. It is going to bed at night thinking, yes, I am imperfect and vulnerable and sometimes afraid, but that doesn't change the truth that I am worthy of love and belonging. Isn't this what our Unitarian Universalist faith teaches us? Our 7 principles are core teachings on how to live a moral life. We believe in the inherent worth of every person. If we have inherent worth, then we can go about our lives knowing that we are okay, regardless of what others might think about us or say. I learned a long time ago that I am loved and valued for who I am, even with all the faults and imperfections that I have. And if you don't know what they are, you can ask my wife. We have the courage to seek wisdom and truth wherever we find it, not in some ancient creedal statement. We accept one another and we encourage each other to spiritual growth. That was said just earlier in the service. We work for world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. We are a part of a large, interconnected web of existence, which includes all living beings. For many years, I have tried to get up early enough on Sunday mornings to listen to the radio show On Being, which was created and hosted by Krista Tippett. You might get it at a different time, but we get it on Sunday mornings. From physics to parenting, from civil society to aging, from yoga to neuroscience, from the environment to the economy, Krista and her guests trace the ancient, animating questions of human existence. What does it mean to be human? What matters in a life? What matters in a death? How to love? How to be of service to each other and the world? They explore these questions and all the richness and complexity with which they are finding expression in our 21st century lives. She was the General Assembly Ware lecturer in 2016 and gave a wonderful speech. I was present for that and thoroughly enjoyed hearing her. Here's a quote from a recent book that she wrote, Becoming Wise, an inquiry into the mystery and art of living. Spiritual humility is not about getting small, not about debasing oneself, but about approaching everything and everyone else with a readiness to see goodness and to be surprised. This is the humility of a child, which Jesus lauded. It is the humility of the scientist and the mystic. It has a lightness of step, not a heaviness of heart. That lightness is the surest litmus test I know for recognizing wisdom when you see it in the world or feel its stirrings in yourself. The questions that can lead us are already alive in our midst, waiting to be summoned and made real. It is a joy to name them. It is a gift to plant them in our senses, our bodies, the places we inhabit, the part of the world we can see and touch and help to heal. It is a relief to claim our love of each other and take that on as an adventure, a calling. It is a pleasure to wonder at the mystery we are and find delight in the vastness of reality that is embedded in our beings. It is a privilege to hold something robust and resilient called hope, which has the power to shift the world on its axis. At the start of the book, Daring Greatly, subtitled How the Courage to Be Vulnerable Transforms the Way We Live, Love, Parent, and Lead, Dr. Brown refers to 10 guideposts to wholehearted living. 10 guideposts. These 10 guideposts are what the wholehearted people work to cultivate and what they work to let go of in their lives. Perhaps these 10 items might resonate with you as you construct a life of successful living. So, what are those 10 guideposts for wholehearted living according to the research by Dr. Brene Brown? Each one of them has a way to forward to live our lives and what holds us back. Cultivating is about creating something positive. It's moving you forward by putting your oars in the water to row your boat on the sea of life. Letting go is removing resistance. It's detaching the anchors from your boat so that you make effective progress when you row. So here they are in the order in which she lists them. 1, cultivating authenticity, letting go of what people think. So there's the cultivating and the letting go. Chris Franken, in The Call of Intuition, wrote, quote, growing and strengthening your self-awareness and living from your inner intelligence is essential to living with purpose, ease, joy, and abundance. It is what we feel is our authentic self that is important. I tell people that I am WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. I work at being an authentic self. 2, cultivating self-compassion, letting go of perfectionism. Brene Brown writes, when we spend our lives waiting until we're perfect or bulletproof before we walk into the arena, we ultimately sacrifice relationships and opportunities that may not be recoverable. We squander our precious time and we turn our backs on our gifts, those unique contributions that only we can make. Accept that we are imperfect creatures and live our lives fully, knowing we will make mistakes. 3, cultivate a resilient spirit, letting go of numbing and powerlessness. We are not powerless in our lives. We have choice to do things differently. We are not locked into a rigid future. We can change the trajectory of our lives. We can get back up when we've been knocked down. Brown shares 5 common qualities of resilient people. Resilient people are resourceful problem solvers. Resilient people seek help when they need it. Resilient people take ownership of their ability to take action, to manage their feelings. Resilient people have access to social support. Resilient people are connected with other people. Number 4, cultivating gratitude and joy, letting go of scarcity and fear the dark. My parents were adults during the Great Depression. They always had an attitude of scarcity. I tend to see the world with gratitude of what I have, not just the material possessions, but the true friendships and love that I have. We must see the world for the abundance that is all around us. Number 5, cultivating intuition and trusting faith, letting go of the need for certainty. We Unitarian Universalists should be good at this. As religious seekers, we let go of having certainty a long time ago. As Brown says, intuition is not a single way of knowing. It's our ability to hold space for uncertainty and our willingness to trust the many ways we have developed knowledge and insight, including instinct, experience, faith, and reason. Number 6, cultivating creativity, letting go of comparison. I've always been curious about how the world works. I was encouraged to create from an early age in my singing solos and in groups. I had mentors who taught me new expressions of creativity. I've built things in wood, learned how to do audio video editing in the past year, and have continued to gain new skills and be creative. I stopped a long time ago worrying about what others could do and comparing myself to them. Matter of fact, I am preaching with you today, right now, and I'm also preaching in Chester River, Maryland at the same time because I did a recorded service for them. Number 7, cultivating play and rest, letting go of exhaustion as a status symbol and productivity as self-worth. I love to play. It could be reading books or playing games with my wife. Play is important for our well-being. As the saying goes, all work and no play makes Jack a very dull boy. Practice bringing a playful mindset to the activities of each day. Ask yourself, how would I approach this if I were having fun? Or what would I do next if this were just a big game? Number 8, cultivating calm and still, letting go of anxiety as a lifestyle. We all have anxiety in our lives, but it doesn't have to rule us. We can practice being calm and breathing deeply to still the anxiety that surrounds us. Again, we can choose to not react to an anxious experience if we learn how to control ourselves. Number 9, cultivating meaningful work, letting go of self-doubt and supposed to. As theologian Howard Thurman instructs us, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. We all have gifts that the world needs. Ignore the self-doubt that comes into your mind and remind yourself of those gifts and talents. If you make a list of what those gifts and talents are, you might be surprised at what you put down. And then number 10, cultivating laughter, song, and dance, letting go of being cool and always in control. Brown summarizes what these activities bring to our lives. Laughter, song, and dance create emotional and spiritual connection. They remind us of the one thing that truly matters when we are searching for comfort, celebration, inspiration, or healing. We are not alone. My wife will tell you that I'm always creating bad puns about things that I find humorous. If you seek them, things are funny all around us. I also love to sing and dance to music on the radio, or even to dance in church to a lively hymn. The old saying is to dance like no one is watching. Don't worry what others think about your enjoying life. Brene Brown sums it up by telling us to be authentic in the world. Authenticity is a collection of choices that we have to make every day. It's about the choice to show up and be real, the choice to be honest, the choice to let our true selves be seen. Being authentic is putting myself out there for all to see, warts and all. Many times we want to hide behind the facade we create to keep others from seeing the true self behind it. If I am to live a wholehearted life, these 10 guideposts can point the way toward becoming more accepting of myself, more an authentic self, a person who acknowledges my vulnerability and imperfections. As Brown states, the truth is, belonging starts with self-acceptance. Your level of belonging, in fact, can never be greater than your level of self-acceptance, because believing that you're enough is what gives you the courage to be authentic, vulnerable, and imperfect. So is this path easy? Not in any way. Life is a risky business at best. Living wholehearted will demand much of us. We will need to continually practice each of the signposts toward an authentic living. As Brown says, wholeheartedness is like a North Star. You can never get there, but you know when you're heading the right way. May we learn to follow that star toward a healthier, more wholehearted life and encourage each other along the path. Amen.
All right.